of morning, come back room to the land of thy birth. Come with the shamrocks in springtime of morning, and its Killarney will ring with our mirth.
Erin go braw, and the top of the morning to you. We have arrived in Ireland, the land of the shamrock. As we go bouncing along over the rocky road to Connemara, we are immediately interested in typical rural life, which would be incomplete without the world-famous Connemara ponies, horses, and donkeys. This procession is on its way to a marketplace, where it is the custom for Irish farmers to gather once or twice a week to buy, sell, and exchange their produce. The Irish peasant children are particularly attractive, and as for the Irish men, well, just take a look at Paddy Leary.
My name is Paddy Leary from a spot called Tipperary. The hearts of all the girls I am a thorn in, but before the break of morn, 'tis they'll be all forlorn, for I'm off to Philadelphia in the morning.
Off to Philadelphia in the morning. There is more than humor in that song, for it symbolizes the constant dream of the average, ambitious Irishman to seek his fame and fortune somewhere beyond the shores of his own country. Mr. Billy Goat, however, is one who believes in staying at home. In this case, it is Mary had a stubborn goat. Its home was in a tree, and everywhere that Mary went, the goat went stubbornly. Wherever we roam in the Emerald Isle, we behold something that suggests a song.
Young Rory O'Morcock at Kathleen born, he was bold as a hawk, she was soft as the dawn. He wished in his heart pretty Kathleen to please, so she asked for a cottage built under the trees. Oh, there's nothing half so sweet in life as love's young dream. No, there's nothing half so sweet in life as love's young dream.
Among the many picturesque landmarks of Ireland are the various round towers. There is much controversy as to when and why these towers were built. It is generally believed, however, that they were erected about 1,500 years ago as a means of defense. The entrance to the tower was through a small doorway, about 10 feet from the ground, and just large enough for one person to enter at a time. It is not difficult to imagine a courageous Irishman standing just inside this entrance with a stout shillelagh and holding off a primitive army. At Drogheda, about 60 miles from Dublin, an old Norman arch built over the road is one of the last remaining landmarks of the Norman invasion of Ireland. Ireland's history is made up, more or less, of a series of invasions, undertaken principally by the Danes and the Normans, who are believed to have had considerable influence in the molding of present-day Ireland. At an attractive little summer house in a remote section of Western Ireland, we had the pleasure of an interview with the Honorable William T. Cosgrave, former President of the Irish Free State and a true gentleman of the Emerald Isle. Mr. Cosgrave spoke very proudly of the natural scenery of his country, directing our attention to a few of his favorite haunts, one of which was this picturesque waterfall near the beautiful lakes of Killarney. Not far from here, we met none other than Peggy and her low-back car.
When first I met sweet Peggy, 'twas on a market day. A low-back car she drove and sat upon a truss of hay. But when that hay was blooming grass and decked with flowers of spring, no flower was there that could compare with the bloomin' girl I sing. Ah, she sat in her low-back car. The man at the turnpike bar never asked for her soul, but just robbed his old pole and looked after the low-back car.
Home life in rural Ireland is usually quiet and simple. This is a typical example of a middle-class estate, not far from Dublin. The small farm in the rear, along with an adequate supply of livestock, provides the family with the necessities of life. Even in this modern day, it is not unusual to find old-fashioned spinning wheels in Ireland, still in practical use, producing modest homespun garments. Before the wool is made ready for the weaver's loom, it must be spooled, and a smaller wheel is here adapted for this purpose. And now the spools of thread are passed down to the weaver, who operates a handmade loom. There is a certain spirit of independence about all this that seems to place man in a more natural sphere, and it makes us wonder if the modern machine that turns out hundreds of garments a day really contributes so much to the general peace and independence of mankind. Aha! Here's the monkey business, and it's not in the United States either. It's right down in the cellar of an Irishman's home, in a country that does not know the meaning of the word prohibition. In other words, if this fellow were plying his mysterious trade in the United States, he would be called a moonshiner, or in less romantic language, a bootlegger. In justice to our hero, however, it is only fair to say that he is, in fact, a law-abiding citizen, reenacting a scene from the shady side of Irish history, in the days when the tax on legalized whiskey was so prohibitive that the poorer classes found it cheaper to make their own. Evidently, he finds it easier to make it than to take it. Because of its proximity to the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, Ireland seldom records a freezing temperature, and this accounts no doubt for the palm trees that grow on the banks of Killarney's beautiful lakes. But now it is time to say farewell to the Emerald Isle, a farewell that carries with it all the sentiment of "Come Back to Erin," the song which inspired our visit and which now seems to re-echo from the very lakes of Killarney as we depart.
Come back to Erin, my bornin, my bornin. Come back around to the land of ever. Come with the shamrocks in springtime, my bornin, and it's here